is the dumbest sports thing I've ever seen. They asked the audience. They go, should we put the dog in the front? Should we put a helmet? Should we put an elf? And of course, everybody goes, let's put the elf because they're funny. You know, Elfie McElf face. Football's dumb. The Browns are dumb, and everything's dumb. Hi, Chemda. Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
I'm Chemda, and you're done with football? Was that a football thing?
Don't worry about it.
You said the word football, so I feel like I'm picking up you're mad about football.
Thursday night football was a day. Anyways, moving on. You're going to love today's guests. First of all, the great Lizzie Cassidy is coming back, joining us, and that's fantastic. Nobody doesn't like Lizzie. In fact, if you don't like her, email me. I'd love to hear the story. And she's with her co-host of a new podcast, the podcast called Close Calls Podcast with Kevin Casey White. We're going to get into that and why people use 3 names. Have you ever almost died is the description. We have, and we think those are some of the best stories. Comedians Lizzie Cassidy and Kevin Casey White bring you a podcast all about their death, all about near-death experiences, where they tell stories of survival with gallows humor and some good old-fashioned jokes. I'm very excited. Very excited.
I want to be on there for dying emotionally sometime. Does that count?
Daily? Is that
death?
daily though? I read newspapers. That's daily.
Small deaths.
Chemda is going over my book, the Dad Emails book.
I can't believe it. I was there for the entire book, and just reading it has been amazing. I just got to the Mike Kaplan part, and bless his heart, we have to repeat it. Keith repeats in the book. Now, I love Mike Kaplan, and my head is ready to explode talking. And I really love talking to Mike Kaplan. We have long conversations.
He's being all devil's advocate about my dad hitting on my ex-wife.
There's got to be something worse than the devil, because he is quite the advocate. I mean, you want him on your side, whatever you did, because my head's exploding. We're going like, yeah, Keith's dad hit on his ex-wife, thinking nobody will find out. And Mike goes, well, something like, some people are lonely. I'm like, what is... What?
He wanted to get to know his son better.
Yeah, every inappropriate action has some sort of craziness behind it that makes someone believe that they're right. That doesn't mean we take that into account all day, every day. No,
but if you want to do whatever you want in life, date Mike Kaplan, right? Am I wrong?
Very understanding, yes. Which is totally relatable to me. Sometimes I understand too far, but and then I got to the part with Periel Ashenbrown, who I happened to go to yeshiva as kids with, and she's now in comedy. And, we ran into each other, of course, and she's on the show for the first fucking time. And her first words about what we're doing with your dad emails, she goes, you guys are fucked up. And Keith goes, thank you. And then she goes, I feel like your dad is obviously troubled. And we just keep going. And now it's like her head is exploding the entire time. Again, it's her first time. I mean, start to finish in the dad emails, she's like, don't you think this is disturbing? And Keith is like, yes. And let me tell you another disturbing part, because I just got, and in this episode with Periel, you got an email in real time from your dad.
Reading it on the show live, yeah.
Yeah. So her head's already exploding about how you're catfishing your dad for a year, or his jingling libido about your ex-wife, like all this shit. And then a new email comes in, you read that live, and I don't know. Haven't seen her since, but I don't think it's related.
Well, this is a troubling thing. Well, it's going to be a book. I mean, how sweet can the thing be, right? Craig wants to be the fact checker, and he wants to call my dad and have advice. And then my dad would be like, did you indeed say this or that and this? I mean, obviously he did. I'm going to put in whatever. I have it in literal black and white, these emails. But I think that'd be funny. Him going, that was their mother's idea. Who knows?
That'd be great.
So we'll see. My dad wrote the other siblings about some email I didn't see. Somebody forwarded it to me like they always do. But, we're not talking, of course, now because the truth came out. My dad wrote, regarding spelling, I knew I had spelled plaque. I think my mom, she's in assisted living. She had plaque removed from her teeth. I knew I spelled plaque incorrectly in a recent email to you folks. But at the time, I could not think of how to spell it correctly. I woke up this morning thinking about it. In the future, if you see such a blatant mistake, kindly bring it to my attention. I not only will not be offended, but will appreciate it.
Oh, he's running out of things. Like I'm reading his emails, and you copy pasted the email to make sure that it's exactly
It's as
authentic.
is, yeah.
Oh my God, misspellings, double spacing by accident, wrong words, then is the wrong then, and shit like that.
But what's the point of this email?
Oh,
To,
he's
to
out of
say
things
I'm
to
humble?
say. No, it's to go like, hey, don't you guys want to like say hi or be mad at me or something? I'm lonely.
But instead it comes off, I never make mistakes?
I mean, maybe whatever it is, it's hey, don't you want to hang out with me? Like, aren't I the best? Remember me?
I just saw the movie with Patton Oswalt, I Love My Dad, and the dad catfishes the son for attention, acting like he's a woman. That's a comedy. Mine's a horror. All right, let's get right to it. Today's guests from SiriusXM, Lizzie Cassidy. Lizzie, great to see you again.
Great to see you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And her co-host, like I said, from Airwolf, Nerdist, Kevin Casey White. Hello, Kevin.
Hello. Hey.
I am always curious when somebody uses their middle name. Can I ask you when
Yeah.
you decided on that, or did you start with a cool signature as a kid and that simply couldn't change?
Or are you a
No.
serial killer and now you're forced to use your three names because somebody else with your first and last might be a little offended? And,
Bingo.
you know, we're open minded here. You just tell your story in your words.
That's right. It's because I'm a serial killer, and to elude the police, I made myself more recognizable. Kevin White is kind of like John Smith. It's a pretty common name. I used to do comedy in Chicago as Kevin White, and they drafted a guy to the Bears whose name was Kevin White. So, like, that whole season, people were just like, oh, like the football player, and that was annoying. And then, to make a long story short, one day I thought I was booked at the Laugh Factory, and I showed up and they meant a different Kevin White. So after that, I was
Oh.
like, screw this, I'm adding the middle name. So Kevin Casey White.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So the football player got into comedy.
Just no, a different guy that does stand up.
A third Kevin White.
And if you Google Kevin White stand up, there's like 3 different Kevin Whites that show up. Me and 2 other guys. Yeah.
No,
Weird.
that's weird.
Now, granted, the other 2 are like old road dogs, but still. Yeah.
That sucks extra though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Because they already have that SEO in whatever sense. All right.
Well, yeah.
And God forbid one of them says something fucked up on Twitter.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to be
Yeah.
like, Kevin White is racist.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
Your show talks about near-death experiences, and that, of course, is fascinating. So I do want to get to that. But you also cover news, and I want to see if you've been following a couple stories here.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Adam Levine. Have you been following these the DMs he's been writing to apparently everybody he's ever met about how fucking hot they are in person, saying he hasn't met them in person?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Have you read them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it's hilarious that even like famous hot guys are still corny in girls' DMs.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. How do you still not know how to talk to women?
Mhm.
That's insane.
You are hot. Send. You
Yeah.
are really hot. Send.
Yeah,
God damn,
you're-
your body is outstanding.
Your
Yeah.
fucking body is so fucking hot. Like, ugh.
You're so right. Because if they were reading a script and that was the dialogue, they'd be like, oh, I play the douche. I know how to play this
Yeah.
character. Right. Yeah. Like it's
Or
not
if
like they're
anyone-
writing the script, but if they were reading it, this is not a good character, you know, like an upstanding, like charismatic character, what they're
Right.
writing.
Yeah, it's like somebody tweeted like the Tiger Woods DM or the Tiger Woods text messages that came out when he cheated on his wife, because
Right.
these like reminded them of that. And like all of these guys are such corny bozos. It's so funny. It's like, thank God you're talented, because you don't have an ounce of charisma.
Now, how would Adam or Tiger appropriately slide into a DM, though? What do you want to
And
hear from
honestly,
these guys?
How are you doing is better than any of this shit.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know?
How's
like,
it going?
Yeah.
Okay. Just be like,
Humor.
hi, this is Tiger Woods.
Yeah,
Like,
basically.
Right. There's a picture of me golfing. I'm
Yeah.
back.
maybe you've heard of me.
You could just be like, I'm actually Adam Levine, the
That's
real
right.
one.
Blue check.
Yeah.
See that?
It's me.
Right. It just sounds like Adam Levine has a ghostwriter.
Yeah.
Because a
Yeah.
songwriter doesn't write this shit.
Yeah, all these famous
Oh.
people could actually DM and go, hey, have you ever been interested in me?
That would be a good way for him to get out of this. If he was like, it was my social media person. It wasn't even.
That's good.
I
That's-
didn't even know about it.
Honestly, he totally
He
could
should have
been
done that.
completely fine and just, yeah, whatever. Like, just be like, oh, I fired them a long time ago.
I don't
Nobody
even
really
have
needs to-
Instagram on my phone. I don't look
Absolutely.
at it.
Dumb, these celebrities are so dumb.
They're so dumb. They're just,
Just
like
like
us.
us.
Oh, James.
You guys should join a team. Yeah. So Adam's wife is named Bahati, and she is a hottie. He's not lacking, right?
That's true.
And so he meets. Just came to you.
A hottie with a Bahati.
And the first girl, her name was Summer, and she
Summer.
finally came out. Her, get it? And she finally came out because she was turned off when he said out of the blue, some time went by. They had a year affair, supposedly. Time went by. Then he said, hey, I want to name my kid, Bahati is pregnant, I want to name my kid Summer. Are you cool with that? I promise I won't be jerking off my kid or nothing. It'd just be fun to have you in my head when I change my kid's diapers.
Yeah.
And then she said, I'm going public. This is too much. And then that's when other women start going public as well, including a new one, Adam Levine's former yoga instructor.
What?
But and she started a hashtag expose Adam Levine.
Oh shit! Oh my god!
And by the way, all the memes come up, or all the little videos, I'm calling them memes,
Yeah.
come up from when he was on that stupid musical show where he's like, he made some mistake on the show, so he like hides with his shirt over his
Right.
face, embarrassed. Like, it's all, people are doing some great work out there. But anyway, tell me what this woman, Alana Zabel, is trying to say. She worked for the singer from 2007 to 2010. He told pals that she had, quote, the best ass in town and it was cute.
Cool.
How old
Okay.
is he?
She added
But
that.
okay, you know what I mean? Brunch, whatever. We've
Yeah.
all been- yeah. Okay.
It's always every time I'm dating a guy, I'm like, what do you tell your friends about me? And that would be great.
Yeah.
The best ass in town?
Is that so bad?
That's not bad.
Wait, but he's not always in one town. Like which
Also,
town?
I guess his wife might be in that town too.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
That's a-
when you check the map.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's in the same zone. She added that one day he texted me saying, I want to spend the day with you naked. That's a hello. Zabel alleged that the shocking message led to a physical altercation with her then abusive boyfriend.
Oh.
Yikes!
Oh,
Someone-
no.
Well, that's not Adam's fault. That
It's not. But she says that later too. Check this out. The yogi then appeared to come to Levine's defense. Firstly, Adam's text was not wrong in my opinion.
Okay.
Then shut the
Yeah.
fuck up. Then why are you? First of all, it is wrong because he's married. But shut the fuck up then. And
It's
No,
crazy
I-
that
uh-huh.
even when a woman is like, this guy tried to have an affair with me and then my boyfriend beat the shit out of me, the article's like, then the yogi said, it's like, oh, okay.
Right. She wrote in the caption of a video, and she showed her and Levine practicing yoga together and added, Adam was not responsible for my abusive ex-boyfriend or his actions.
Yeah.
Okay. Then why are you bringing it up in the first place, though? Why did you start a hashtag expose Adam Levine, but you didn't think he was too much, but you said that he DM'd you on the side?
I think she's saying he's not harassing me, and it's like it's a kind of like he's allowed to hit on me, sort of, but I'm exposing that he's hitting on not his wife. I guess I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Is he-
you know, I don't
or-
want to be on the side of that, but or I think the article might have left out some shit. They're asking her about her and Adam Levine's relationship, and they just wanted to talk about how she's a yoga instructor. I don't fucking know.
Does she think she's doing a favor and saying, yes, he texts these women, but it's not so bad?
I think
Here's
it might
proof,
be
and made a terrible hashtag.
I think it might be the opposite. Like, I think when something happens with that involves like a man's sexual deviance, like, and then one woman says something, people tend to not believe her. So then other women will be like, here's also more proof that he's the type of guy who would do this. And maybe she's like, that doesn't mean that he's responsible for everything bad that's ever happened to me, but he did do the thing that this other girl said he did.
I see.
I
That
see.
makes sense. But then, Keith, are you saying that she started the hashtag?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
that's weird.
interesting part. Yeah.
Yeah, she said it's long overdue. Hashtag expose Adam Levine.
Okay. Can I speak from a person who like has been cheated on, and multiple times, and like people knew we were together, and I'm not saying it's friends. I don't know what he was telling people. I think it was we have an open relationship. Like, I think that's very possible. So, but I wonder what it would be like where now there's a hashtag and people posting their correspondence between me and my between them and my ex during the thing. And I'm trying to think, like, I think your average person would want to stick their head in the ground because until this passes, because everyone's talking about this indiscretion that happened in your life that affects you, and now you're going through it and you have to go through it in public. But I think I'd be like, good, now I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Because I caught, correspondence, I caught flirting, I caught planning with like several people, and I decided not to read them all. But if anyone else wanted to read it, then that's not me,
Zabel explained she decided to come forward because she was disappointed by the singer's response to other allegations about him. Quote, when you look at the cause and effect that came from Adam's one text, either flirtatious or missent, we can see how cautious and mindful we should be with our actions and how they affect others. So I think she...
Wait,
so
now we have to learn a lesson?
Yeah. Let's all be careful.
Why do we have homework? Because he cheated on his wife.
Wait, I have to be more mindful?
Just be mindful.
My
Stop missending
mindfulness,
things.
I'm on the level of mindfulness where my boyfriend will never misunderstand my texts with other people. I'm fine. I'm mindful. By the way, he was mindful. This is where his mind goes.
The rock star is under fire for allegedly sending inappropriate messages to women while married to Bahati Prinsloo. The spouses were seen yesterday holding hands. So they're still smiling and holding hands in pictures for what that's worth.
And now we start judging her, and that's tough. Before she has a chance to process this on her own, because I still stayed with my person for way too long. And
I did
needed
the same thing once.
Yeah, I needed to process
and I wasn't
it.
pregnant, and she is,
Oh, motherfuck. Right.
Yeah.
You don't know why, but you're just like, let me see if this could be worked out for no stupid reason. Because if you were outside of it, you would know this is dumb.
Yeah. But if
What
I
happened
was
with you?
pregnant, I think I would. Well, I dated a guy who cheated on me, and I knew, but I didn't want to break up with him because I was like being emotionally manipulated by him. Yeah, and I was a drug addict, and he had them.
That's the emotional manipulation.
Well, it was both.
That's a good. So, what drugs does Body have? That's what I know. What's she holding?
Or what is Adam holding? He's holding an epidural.
The first woman. Is it?
Is it Summer, the first person?
It's
Summer.
Sumner.
Oh, Sumner.
Okay,
like
so
Summer, but
that's even
it's
crazier.
annoying.
That's even crazier because I kept saying Summer the other day, and I assumed if you're naming somebody's name, Sumner is so specific.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's weird.
That's really pushing it. Like that. Why are you giving a clue out there to a living body that's always going to be around?
Yeah, and it's so specific that like if I were his wife, I'd be like, is this like a family name? Like, where did this come from?
I just want to say, as far like, look, this guy's a musician, right? He's on the road. What happens on the road? Even if you're a married guy, things can happen, right? It's a long storied history.
What are you telling your
whatever.
girlfriend right now, Kevin?
I'm just saying, good for him for it being somebody of legal age and consent for a change.
Wow, what a bar.
Right?
The bar is on the floor.
You know what I mean?
No.
Wow.
The
We're not
hell.
playing limbo anymore. We're jumping over low hurdles. What the fuck?
Just saying, as far as rock stars
At
go,
least she's not
not wrong.
illegal. Is
they're all,
this
they're all cheating. Is my, you know?
They are.
what?
Well, this is what Sumner's saying. She says, I was only 21. I was being taken advantage of.
Oh, she was
I
21.
didn't have my head together. Well, what are these musicians? Scientists? They don't know about the frontal
Yeah.
cortex in 25. What do you expect them to do? Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
that thing that everyone knows.
Jeff Garlin, who was killed off, we mentioned the other day, of The Goldbergs, season 10. He was killed off screen because of inappropriate behavior on set. There was an HR investigation that somehow took 3 years. We don't know exactly what it was. We don't know if it's sexual. We don't know if it's drinking and grabbing ass. We don't know if it's just yelling and taking over the set. Nobody seems to know. But the first episode comes out either today comes out today, I believe. And yesterday, Jeff Garlin wrote on Instagram, "I have bipolar disorder."
Sad.
Oh, me too. Wait, no, let me do some bullshit first before I say that.
Yeah, save that.
Yeah.
He's
How does
60.
everyone have bipolar? Let me tell you what I think is happening, and I'm not even joking. I understand that people have bipolar and that they didn't come out before, it was like more diagnosed and more taken seriously and blah blah blah. But now there's like the mildest to the most whatever, and what I think is people are going, "Hey, I think I have bipolar," and the doctor's going, "No, I don't think you do." So they go to some other doctor. "Yeah, but I think I have bipolar." And finally, someone's gonna fucking agree with you. It's everybody bipolar. I'm bipolar too.
I don't know. I mean, I think maybe ADHD got a little passe, so they had to move on to a different thing to call
Well,
everybody.
depression's definitely over.
Depression. We're over
Depression
depression.
is so 2008.
Anxiety had a good day. That was last year.
Anxiety
now
is
it's
like
bipolar,
a-
baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to have something real.
Let's see. So Jeff Garland says he has bipolar disorder, obviously doing it deliberately right before the show comes out and when this news comes out. By the way, yeah, bipolar, I don't know how it works. You can still say what you did on set when you're one of the poles, right? You can still say,
if you're
what
having
did
like a-
you do on set that isn't so offensive that we think is so offensive because all Hollywood cares about is money.
Mhm.
Well, and the other thing is like mental illness can be a reason for behavior, but not an excuse. Like I have plenty of friends who are bipolar who have never harassed me in any way.
Right.
Like
well, if you're bipolar, if you're like having a manic episode, you could be hypersexual.
yeah,
and things
but that's
like
what
that,
I'm saying. It's
you
a
know?
reason, but you still have to say you're sorry.
Yeah,
Still
but
say what
he's-
you did. I'll tell
but
you what he
he's-
says.
But it
I'll
hasn't
tell
come
you.
out yet. You
I
know?
know, I know.
So he's getting ahead of it.
Bipolar is a motherfucker, he wrote on Instagram. Sometimes it's just too much to deal with. That's what your cast member said. I'm doing the best I can. This is the first time that I've opened up about this. This came out a day before the season 10 premiere of his former show, The Goldbergs, in which Garland's character had been killed off. HR investigation spanning 3 years described him as... Okay, he says this is why the HR investigation was going on. He said it was over silliness on the set. They don't think that they don't think is appropriate. I do. I was saying some really stupid, silly things. What can it be if it's not sexual? I was saying some stupid, silly things, and I can't
Racism.
believe racist. I guess
Right.
I can't believe that anyone would find offensive. But to each his own. First of all, you're on Curb Your Enthusiasm. That whole show is about proper interactions. You know about
Yeah.
interactions if you work on Curb Your Enthusiasm. You know what's appropriate, what's not, what you should be able to do and can't, and vice versa. You can't be confused.
But also, but is it bipolar, or is it that he said what he said and he's fine with it? And yes, mania, you can be acting within the mania and you won't remember most of the things. So I
Well,
get
there's
that.
cameras. There's cameras. So how about
No,
you
but
play him
that's-
the camera, and then he says on Instagram, "Here's what I did." Hey, first of all, I would go, you know what, guys? This is gonna blow your fucking mind. Here's what I did, and I tell you, and I would assume the audience would be like, "Yeah, Keith, that wasn't too much."
I don't know, Jeff. I know a lot of people that have worked with him, but he doesn't strike me as a guy with the best like bedside manner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He seems like uncle who makes a racist joke at Thanksgiving kind of
Yeah.
vibes. Like I'm not surprised he said something offensive, but at least he wasn't grabby, I guess. So I don't know.
Can he be on your show that his character got killed off? Is that near death?
I'm sure we can find something closer that he's actually been like
Yeah.
something real that's close enough.
I'm sure he's got a couple clogged arteries or
Yeah,
something.
there's gotta be something.
How did the two of you come to the conclusion of making this podcast? Did you see each other stand-ups and go, we do talk about dying a lot?
Not even really. We were sitting in the back of a comedy show that neither of us were booked on, and
Just talking shit.
talking shit about the people who were booked on it.
you know.
And how
You know how it
bad
goes.
they were.
And,
Yeah, being supportive.
Yeah, you know.
yeah. And we decided that we were funnier than what was happening on stage. And then I had the idea to do a podcast about near-death experiences because I've had a bunch. And we started talking about like us starting a podcast in general. And I threw out that idea, and we both, we had bonded over the fact that both of our dads are dead,
Mhm.
and we had talked about death a lot. We were like, this might be since we already talk about death with each other a lot, this might
Yeah.
be a good avenue for us to.
Yeah,
Honestly,
but-
that's so much more thought out than most podcasts we've heard of. So thank
Yeah.
Thank
you
you.
for your service.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, game recognizes game. We both
Yeah.
talk about death and dark things in our stand-up, and it just seemed like a good fit.
Yeah. And I mean, like you said, one of the first things we said together was when we talked about it, we were like, this isn't going to be a podcast where we just show up and talk.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be one where we're like, so I had a bar show this week. That was
Yeah.
okay. You know?
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. by the way.
Thank
Very,
you.
very sincere.
Can we
Thank
give you
Yeah.
like a veteran's card that you can just show?
I would love that. I would love that.
Thank you for your service.
You're both sober, is that correct?
Yeah.
Congrats. Were most of your near deaths booze or drug related?
Yours were.
Mine, well, some of them were, but I would say 50%. And that's not to say that there wasn't a lot of them. I was just also insane when I was a kid.
Okay.
So I almost died a bunch of times when I was a kid, and I was sick when I was a kid. So it like kind of evens out. But I did have a bunch of, drug and alcohol related near death experiences.
So once you had control as an adult, it was you that was nearing your death
yeah,
on your own.
Yeah.
So you
well,
really, you took the reins. I see.
something, addiction's a disease, but whatever. Yeah.
He's a go-getter. That's what it is.
I like living on the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so
If
many
I-
steps, aren't there? It's like, okay, we get it.
Yeah, there's
there
a
were
lot
only
of
10
steps.
commandments.
Too
Yeah.
many steps. I give
Half
up.
those steps are bullshit.
Yeah.
And
Fuck the
my
steps.
my dad died of cirrhosis, so that's like kind of like the thing for me. So
Is
Why
that that's booze related?
yeah. Glug glug, organ failure. Yeah.
You have about 10 episodes so far. Lizzie, what have you realized is probably your closest near-death experience?
Ooh.
From the ones that we've recorded,
Or otherwise.
That
Or
I've
are you-
experienced,
What
or-
secret are you holding in? Yeah, Lizzie, the one that happened to you when you were like, holy shit, I really did almost die. This isn't a plain engine going
Yeah.
on. This
Well,
is the real
when-
deal.
I think the first one that comes
She's got to go
mind-
through the whole catalog.
Yeah.
So it
Well,
takes a minute.
There were a bunch, yeah, and there are two that really stand out. But one was when I was 5, I had open heart surgery, and that was, I didn't know at the time how close it was, but it was real touch and go during the surgery for a while. And then afterwards, they gave me morphine, and I had an allergic reaction to it.
Mm.
So then I woke up basically on like just ibuprofen, and I had like my sternum sawed in half and like my rib cage cracked open. And that's my earliest memory. So that sucks. But I think that
Why did you need heart
probably-
surgery? Why did you need
I
it?
had I was born with a hole in my heart,
Mm.
and it
A
was,
God-sized hole.
yeah. Well, it was actually so big that they couldn't hear it with like a stethoscope. Usually they said to me that like
You'd hear a
once I was
whistle
an adult,
normally.
yeah, they said to me that usually it whistles. The hole in my heart was so big that it wasn't whistling. It just sounded like a chamber of my heart. So they didn't find it until I was 5. And when they did, I was already like very, very small. I could barely grow hair on my head. Like I would like pass out all the time. I was exhausted all the time. And then they had to do the surgery like within a week of finding it, because they were like, her heart's going to stop like any moment now.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
That's a big thing. Because usually, anytime I'm at the hospital, they're like, if you didn't come in a second earlier,
Mhm.
if this was 1 inch
Yeah.
to your left, I'm like, you guys tell everybody that, so I pay you $6 million. But
Yeah.
Lizzie's the real deal.
Yeah. Well, they told me the surgeon who did the surgery after while I was recovering was like, yeah, I mean, I know you're in a lot of pain, but if we hadn't done this, you'd be walking down the street one day and you would have just dropped dead. And then I had to grow up knowing that. So,
Right.
that's cool. That's
So
a cool way to
5-year-old, they
start your
said that?
life. Yeah. I don't know. if
Kevin,
surgeons
you want
are-
to talk about that bedside
I was gonna
manner?
say, yeah. I was about to say, speaking of bedside manner, I don't think surgeons have the best
Of
bedside
course not.
manner.
No, you get like, that brain or that brain,
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Kevin, you're able to compete?
No, not at all. She's got all the good near-death
Okay.
stories. I thought I'd almost died a couple times, but then like I heard hers and some of the guests that we've had on, and it's like, oh, I've just been in like some car accidents and almost drowned kind of thing. Like, not, I didn't like wake up in the ER. Well, knock on wood. You know what I mean? We'll see what happens.
I don't know. I think
Yeah.
almost drowning so counts because
My head, yeah. I was annoying a kid at the local pool when I was like 8. Some like I was annoying some like kind of bigger kid, and he held my head underwater till I started taking on water, and then he let me up. I've been on some like high speed collisions where it's just like you're on the highway and there's like cars zooming and they're like almost hitting you, that kind of thing. I've when I was drinking, I was
Hold on,
really,
sorry.
Yeah.
These cars are zooming. Are you going the wrong way?
Yeah, well, I was in this car accident where I was in a car and we started to merge, and then there's another car coming in the same lane. I was in the passenger seat. It was my girlfriend at the time driving, and she saw it, jerked the wheel, did like a 180, 360, 540, hit the median. Whoa. We're in the fast lane, and all these cars are just like coming by really quick, and they're trying to like swerve out of the way to not hit the car that's now stuck in the fast lane and stuff like that. It's been kind of hairy, but no open.
What were you doing were you guys yelling the whole time?
A glorious fight. A fight for the ages. She decides it was her mom's car and she doesn't want anybody to hit it. So she's going to walk towards oncoming traffic in the fast lane, waving to get people to and I'm like, God. Get out of the fucking road, you idiot. I'm sorry. I'm not saying you're an idiot, but get out of the fucking road. I'm sorry. Babe,
those are the actions of an idiot.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's that kind of thing. Like, babe, I'm sorry. You need to listen to me and get the fuck out of the road.
See, okay, now I'm comparing that story to Lizzie's story, and I had open heart surgery. I pick open heart surgery.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Well, because at open heart surgery, at least you wake up and a lot of the things happen while you were sleeping. Like this, I'm watching the shit happen. I don't know. It's like watching the surgery. That sounds crazy.
Yeah.
And kind of like Lizzie's story, Kevin then every day after that had to know this was still his girlfriend.
Dude, right? Dude, that was not a good. That same girlfriend and we got mugged at the same time. She got like pistol whipped in the. I never told you any of this, Lizzie. She got like pistol whipped. We had to go to the hospital. It was a whole thing. Yeah.
What's that like? I do want to ask you about that. So,
yeah.
So they point a gun at you, I'm guessing.
So I did it. It was back when I lived in Chicago, and I did a show.
Where in Chicago? I was just there, and I was saying how pretty it was.
The bar's closed now. It's called Ace Bar, but it was in like the Wicker Park neighborhood. And we did a show afterwards. We were hanging out late. Everybody winds up leaving. It's just me and her kind of drunk hanging out outside the bar. And I feel,
oh my God, are you married because you're so trauma bonded at this point?
No.
Lizzie and Kevin.
Yeah. No. We broke up. But I felt like something in the back and poked my back. And I heard somebody say, "Give me all your money." And I think it's one of the comics from the show lingering. And I turn around and I don't recognize this face. And I look down and there's a pistol. And I look up and I'm like, wait a second. And I didn't realize in my blind spot, there was another guy with a gun that pistol whipped me. And I go black. My eyes come to, and guy number one has his gun in my face, patting down my pockets, asking for my wallet, my phone. I look over, guy number two that hit me is chasing after my girlfriend with his gun, and like he conks her in the head. And yeah, we like spent the night in the hospital. Her teeth got knocked out. It was crazy. It was a whole thing.
Not to say anything about her, but she was running away.
Oh, dude, I know. She was like,
no,
bye.
I don't know. I don't know what I would have done. I'm just now in hearing the story completely out of it. Well, they had.
I would have preferred she gave him the purse and
Yeah.
checked on her unconscious boyfriend, but I don't know.
I'm so like anxious in relationships that I feel like I would have stayed because I'd be worried he'd be mad at me if I left. Like, not even for self-preservations. I'd be like, oh fuck, now I have to get mugged too, or he's gonna be mad.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't really be mad. She got her teeth knocked out.
Yeah,
and she
that's
got
fair.
hit, and so it was a lot of like taking care of her at that point. So I kind of glossed
You sound
over
a
that.
little mad.
It was one of those. No, it's one of those things. So like years later, you talk about it, and everybody asks that question, like, "Wait, she just left?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're right."
Well, we have low self-esteem.
That's fair.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is really weird because I'm gonna tell you a story now, and at the end of it, you'll realize why I told it. I'd like to say ahead of time, no offense.
Okay.
Love
No,
this.
to the ex-girlfriend. All right. So
Okay.
it's not you, because I am wondering, I don't think I would run like recently. Xerxes and I were being like sort of they didn't attack us physically, but this person started coming at us, and I didn't know what to do. They were coming more at him than me, and I kind of just waited for like, should I call the cops? I figured he'd tell me, but it wasn't as like quick and gun related, so it's different. Okay, so the other day I'm riding my bike. I stop at a stoplight. I think we're on the Upper East or Harlem. It's like a little like right around there, right? So there's a guy on a moped, a delivery guy on a moped, and he got a little bit into the crosswalk. Now there's people crossing. We have the red light. There are people crossing, and there's like a bunch of kids around the age, I want to say 10, 11. One of the taller ones, but still 11. All of a sudden, through my headphones, I hear him go, "Moped in the crosswalk," like this kind of thing. And I'm like, for real? This okay. And then he goes, "That's what's up." And he's still crossing the street, looking the guy in the eye, like 11 years old, threatening a grown man, like, "That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up," and continues to cross. And then like every once in a while, like gets a little bit closer, like, "You gonna say something?" type of shit. And then all he says is, "That's what's up." Like, now it's a question, and then he keeps on going. The guy didn't do anything. And I'm thinking like, wow, if I was the guy, what would I do? The only thing I could do is laugh, because this guy is, when I say "that's what's up," he must have picked up on that phrasing from somewhere, because it wasn't from the street, because his balls haven't dropped, like none of his voice changed. He's like,
Yeah.
and it's like there's no backing of any kind of like hardness or anything. The guy can't, like, "What's up?" The guy's waiting for the green light so he can go give your parents their spaghetti that they didn't want to cook themselves. Like, relax yourself. So I told this story to Xerxes, and he was reminded of this other story. Sort of happened to him. He walked into a parking lot and found about 4 guys, like maybe 18, 19 years old or something like that, starting to pick a fight, just like that, like going like, "Did you say something?" like that kind of thing, where it's like, well, no, I didn't say anything. Where did that even come from? And this one guy seems to be the leader, and he's saying things like, "What are you looking at? What did you say to me?" like that kind of stuff. So Xerxes stays calm. He takes a phone out of his pocket, and just as he's taking the phone out, he goes, "The police are already on their way." And so like, didn't have time to call. The phone is, that's just a tactic that he uses. The police are already on his way. The most talkingest shit guy, the guy that was talking the most, everybody else was just kind of like, physically backing him by standing there, starts bolting the other way, starts running. And then Xerxes looks at the rest of the guys and goes, "Just so you know, that's how he responded right now. He doesn't give a shit about any one of you, and he's a fucking pussy. And that's how he's going to be in the street with you guys if you want to keep hanging out with him. Just recognize that's your friend and get to know him."
They beat the shit out of him that night. Good for you. Good for you.
This is like an after school special.
Yeah, I was
That
gonna say,
rules.
that's like a movie where like you're a cool teacher.
Yeah,
We brought this up the other day.
that's so fun.
Now, Lizzie, I would assume more so being female, but do you guys ever get this feeling that I do, where I'm not scared to go out at all, so I don't want to confuse you, but at the same time, I'm often ready to fight.
Yeah.
Last time I thought about it, it was just a woman, obviously something wrong in her head, doing Tai Chi in the middle of the street. I have to walk past her, and I'm like, I might have to punch this lady in the face.
Wait, what?
Well, because like, she's so annoying.
She's
I know.
gonna. It's like if you start screaming when I'm close to you. No, I just assume like she'll start hitting me, and am I gonna have to push her? Like and I'm not scared. And then I pass her, and I go, well, of course not. But I'm always thinking this.
Yeah,
because people are unhinged, and you don't know where their physical bodies are going to throw themselves.
I have been like, I've not been attacked in New York, but I've been close enough times that I do walk around with pepper spray in my hand, and I've used it once. And I think that's the only reason I didn't get attacked.
I just saw an Onion article saying woman has to use just the right amount, so there's more for the rest of the walk home.
Yeah, no, but literally, like that was my next thought. The next time I left the house, I was like, I don't know how much is still in this thing.
Right.
Like,
Well, what happened the time you needed to use it?
I was walking. I was walking, I think, in like the Lower East Side, Yeah, and I lived in the I do live and lived in the East Village at the time, and I was gonna walk home.
What's your address? Come
And
on, tell the boys.
if you want to get pepper sprayed, yeah. And I was wearing a purse that went like sort of across, like from one shoulder across my body, like a seatbelt. And this guy behind me was like yelling shit at me, like, like sexual, like, I'm gonna fuck you type of thing. And I was like, it's a crazy person. I'm just gonna keep walking. I was like, I had been walking faster than him, so I thought it would be fine, but I had the pepper spray in my hand just in case. And then he ran up behind me and he grabbed the purse like from the back on my back and pulled me towards him, like into him. And I turned around and pepper sprayed him in the face, and he screamed and ran away.
Damn.
Wow.
Good for you.
Wow.
He did. He was yelling, grumbling about how I was a fucking bitch while he was running away, but that kind of felt better.
You know, these rapists get awfully ornery.
Yeah, they get
Pepper spray.
cranky. Yeah.
Wow. Did you get any pepper on you or anything like that?
I felt like
You have
I definitely
glasses,
got on-
thank God,
I
right?
do have glasses. It did get on my hand, and I felt like my eyes and nose and mouth were like, I could feel that it had happened, but it wasn't like bothering me.
Mhm.
Like it was like I ate something really spicy.
Yeah. Were you all jacked after that?
No, I was like a shaky dog. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck, that was so fucking scary. I like ran into a bar and called an Uber home.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. I'm impressed. That's a lot to do, you know?
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
thank you. But
Well,
Now-
Kevin's
yeah,
just
now
getting
I-
more angry at his ex. That's what's interesting about this.
She probably had pepper spray on her. She could have defended me.
you have to take
That's
it out
why
of
she
your
was
purse
holding
and
on to
have
her
it in your
purse.
hand.
Yeah.
That is, sometimes I'll still have it like in my bag and I'll be walking home and I'll be like, oh, right. If I hadn't had it in my hand.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Oh my God. Wow.
How long have you two known each other?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Maybe like,
That's how we should
years?
answer when they ask about relationships. That's a good question.
a
Thank you for asking that as I do math in my head.
I don't know, a couple years.
couple years.
probably.
Yeah. I feel like definitely at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe 3.
Well, okay.
We
How
were
about
both,
this?
We were both still drinking when we met. So
Yeah,
I don't
we
know.
were.
You were or you weren't?
Yeah.
We
yeah.
were. We were.
You
both
were.
still
Did you
drinking,
guys
yeah.
ever hook up?
Nah.
No.
Okay.
Well, this is easy math. Pre-pandemic or during the pandemic did you meet?
Post-
During.
yeah, during the
Post-lockdown,
pandemic.
During the pandemic.
Okay. All right. So that gives us a round.
It's
The
got to
time.
be 2020.
But I think
probably.
it was like
20
right after lockdown.
Yeah.
Because you
2021.
run an outdoor show. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Started
So
coming to
we
the
met there.
Oh, so he was the only person you were allowed to be around because he
Well,
had
one of
outdoor
the few
shows.
people with an outdoor show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
No, we were
what's
doing-
this? What was
we
that
were-
face, Kevin, pointing
were
at
doing-
Lizzie?
Oh, this alcoholic was
Yeah,
in
you think-
bars after they closed.
You kidding me? You
I was a nightmare.
You
2020 was the worst year of my
of your boozing?
addiction in general. So
Yeah.
I was doing all kinds of fucked up
She
shit.
cut a hole for a straw in her masks. She didn't want to get the shakes. Yeah.
Wow. So what made you decide to stop? It was during the pandemic.
I almost died.
She was having too much fun.
I was having too much. Everybody liked me too much.
Get her to the hospital.
Yeah, I started going through alcohol withdrawal every
Fuck.
morning. And I saw a doctor who told me that I couldn't stop drinking or I would die. And then I actually was hanging out with Kevin and a bunch of other people one night, and I had like 16 drinks and was still feeling withdrawal symptoms and like I still hadn't drank enough to get rid of them. And so the next morning I checked myself into a detox center, and then I was sober for a month, and then I thought I could change my relationship with alcohol. And I woke up 3 days later in an emergency room, and I quit drinking after that.
Do you know how you got there? Or you woke
Yeah,
you literally woke up?
So like if you have been if you've gone through withdrawal before, even if you like take a month off or a few years off or something, your brain is still really damaged from it. So I was going through withdrawal again after drinking for 3 days. So I went to the ER on my own because I thought I was going to have a seizure or something. And I was also just so sick, and they, told me that I didn't have to go back to detox, but I did have to go back on the withdrawal meds that I had been taking. And So I went upstate for a week and like took the meds and dried out and then came back to New York and I haven't drank since.
That
Good for
sounds
you.
really hard.
It was scary. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was tough.
What
Um,
made you quit, Kevin?
Like I said, my dad died
The
of
dad?
cirrhosis.
Okay.
So my dad was a musician, not too terribly different from comedy and lifestyle in that, you know, you get like free drinks and, you know, like there's like a lot of people that want to keep the party going as they get older when it's not a good look anymore. We all know these guys are like 50 and they're like a road dog and they're creeping out a waitress because they're drunk or whatever. You know what I mean? So growing up around that, I just didn't want to do that. So I'm 36 now. So now that I'm on like closer to 40 than I was at 30, I was just waking up like with a lot of hangovers and a lot of guilt around it. And I just was kind of like, you know what? I think I'm done. I think I'm over it, honestly. Kind of want to get my shit together. So I didn't have like a rock bottom moment. But I tried to quit a few times in the past and to no avail. And so this kind of felt like, all right, dude, like you got two forks ahead of you. You saw what happened to my dad, you know, I can go down that road or I could try out this other thing. And honestly, I'm just like a lot more put together now.
Did he
So.
die recently? I listened to
he-
your show, so I know you're like 100 days sober or so. Did he die recently, or it just finally took for you?
No, he died when I was 23.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a while ago. But the plan was always to kind of like, all right, have your fun now, but
Yeah.
you know, don't be a bum. Yeah, I just like Lizzie mentioned, change your relationship with alcohol. I would love to be a glass of scotch at night guy or a glass of wine at dinner guy. But like for me, I get the itch. If you're not getting fucked up, like what's the point? What's
Yeah.
the point? You know
now,
what I mean?
are you California sober or?
Oh hell yeah, I smoke a lot of weed.
Okay.
It helps a lot, right, to be sober when you do drugs.
Yeah, like
I hear ya.
It's I'm not like awake and like no drug really excites me the way like alcohol like really
Right.
had, you know, like you're like out at the bar with friends or whatever and then you're on your way home and you swing by a bodega to get a sandwich and you're like, maybe I should get a tall boy just to make sure what that I'm like gonna feel terrible tomorrow, you know what I mean? Like
Well, I was actually doing it to make sure because I was scared I was gonna die.
right, but like yeah, but like no, you're just like trying to get as fucked up as possible
Yeah.
to pass out and I'm like, well, that doesn't seem very healthy. But weed or anything, I mean, you know,
But
not
who
doing
are
any
those
hard
weirdos,
drugs.
quite frankly, one glass of wine? That is fucking weird.
It is weird,
Well,
right?
people who are not addicted or have the
Yeah.
disease.
Yeah,
I could
Yeah.
drink a glass of wine.
But you don't, so don't say you can't.
I
You
have.
don't.
I drank a mojito on the beach in Spain.
One time
I'm like,
Kenda had a mojito, so she's relatable. Okay.
Look,
I'm
if you,
saying-
I think if you have like 3 drinks, whatever, that's
Yeah.
fine. But you know, like a lot of the people that are in comedy, or it's just like a lot of all or nothing is kind of the mentality. People are shoving shots in your face, and you're getting paid in drink tickets, and it's just a
Right.
thing where it's like if you're hungover every day, and it's cutting into more productive things, like I don't know, starting a podcast, then you should do that other thing. You know,
Yeah.
I drank
And
for a
for
long
now,
time.
what's keeping you sober? What's helping keeping you sober?
I don't
Hearing
miss
about
it.
everybody about to die daily.
But that always existed. That always
this
existed.
this cautionary tale right here.
No,
Do you
I
go to
really-
meetings? Do you have therapy or anything?
I really woke up one day and I was like, all right, I'm over it. And I
Lizzie,
really don't
are you
miss it.
hating him as he speaks? Like, no, I'm
No.
over it. I don't even miss it. Like,
No,
does that
I-
bother you?
I'm jealous, but you know, I don't hate it. I'm actually like, I think I'm like jealous in a way where like you're friends with someone and they get something good. You're like, that rules. Because I think it's a little harder for me, but I'm not California sober. I was a drug addict before I was an alcoholic. So I'm sober. I don't even drink caffeine.
What's
but-
keeping you sober?
Spite. Just kidding.
It's that Irish Catholic
Yeah.
spite.
Yeah. I just it was so bad when I stopped. And alcohol withdrawal is so like painful isn't the word because it is painful, but that's not the worst part. It just like it ruins your life and it ruins your body and it ruins your brain in such a way that feels so untenable. And like I've been sober for almost a year. They say it takes 5 years to get your brain back. And even then, like you'll still probably have trouble sleeping and stuff like that. And so I have a therapist who specializes in addiction, and I also just I just know that I can't like even crack the door open or it'll swing open and I'll be back in a detox center. So just like knowing that, I think that's the main thing. It's like I've never had enough fun being drunk for it to be worth doing that again.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. At my age, I enjoy waking up early and having a productive day more than I like being out late and partying now.
I also love not being sick every day.
Yeah.
Like I was sick every day. I thought that I had like a brain tumor and stomach problems and like all this stuff because I was so sick every day. And then one day I had to just like admit to myself that it was obviously alcohol.
Wow. Well, congratulations to both of you. That's amazing. Yeah.
Look
Good
at
job.
this. So download the podcast, Close Calls Podcast. By the way, you can also call into the show. And I'd love to hear that. I want people to call in. I want to hear your near-death experiences. You dial 470-NOT-DEAD.
Yeah, leave us a voicemail.
470-NOT-DEAD. Leave a voicemail. And also, they'll be going on tour together.
Yeah, we got some dates in West Virginia and North Carolina.
You plan on going to the states that will get you more stories?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We're doing it for the pod.
We're gonna go talk to the hill people.
What's next? Texas? What's going on?
In October, I'm looking at Huntington, Morgantown. North Carolina, I'm looking at Fayetteville. I'm looking at Asheville.
Yeah, and that's just a little run, and then I've got more of a tour after that, and then I think we're gonna set up some dates for next spring and summer to maybe do some live shows or something.
Yeah.
Ideally. So
that's so fun. Excellent. And Kevin, it was so nice meeting you. I'm so glad you came by. Lizzie, always good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah. Wow. I'm just in awe. And I know that Lizzie usually come on here and we're like, here's the last time I was drunk. Here's all.
Yeah, I think
I've
been drunk on your show before. In fact, I know I have.
That's okay. So is Keith. So
that's right. KeithandTheGirl.com/Lizzie. You could just type in her full name right there and hear every time she was ever on /Lizzie Cassidy. It's all right there. Tomorrow will be the first Silent Trailers live on YouTube, and I will be battling Calvin Cato, Danny Vega, Brandon Collins, and the birthday boy himself, Rod Morrow. Today's his birthday. Happy birthday, buddy. Enjoy today. Tomorrow you die. Watch the battle tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Keith and the Girls YouTube channel. Just hit that bell and they'll tell you what's doing. To get backstage passes to the show, go to KeithandTheGirl.com/tickets. That's it. Again, great seeing you. Thank you both for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
That's it.
Hell yeah.
that was really fun.
Yeah. How you feel?
That was great. Yeah.
Good. Cool. All right.